Yo, what's good, YouTube? Your settings are more important than ever in Black Ops 6, especially with the Omni movement. You have settings you need to have correct. And as someone who's been playing this game pre-release here against literal pro players, still managing a 2.5 KD, I feel like I have a good idea what I'm telling you guys. So that being said, if y'all enjoyed the video, be sure to give it a like, subscribe with notifications turned on, and let's get into it. All right, so diving into it, the first thing we're gonna go over is gonna be your controller settings. Then I'll get into some different interface settings, stuff you should have that'll even just make your game look better overall, regardless if you're on PC or on console. I'm not running NVIDIA filters or any of that sort of stuff. I just have good settings in game. So first thing here, of course, is my aiming input device. I have it as set at controller. I do play with the SCUF controller, so I just have it set right there. Your button layout, I actually play on tactical flipped. And so I actually play with my controller so that way that I can just use my back paddles very effectively. But generally speaking, you want to be able to have like it on a tactical or something like that, just so you can actually slide cancel properly and have good movement in game. It does make all the difference in the world. So I would recommend for you to play on tactical, and then I play on flip just because I come from playing on PlayStation where I use the top bumpers. Now I just, everything likes to use the bottom triggers, but I prefer to use the top ones, so I just leave it at that. Now my stick layout preset is just going to be on default. You don't really have to change that unless you for whatever reason have something that just makes it so you need to have a different stick layout. Otherwise, totally leave that at default. No reason to switch. Moving on down to the horizontal and vertical stick sensitivity. I currently play on a 6/6 sensitivity. I believe having a lower sensitivity does help you be more accurate. The higher the sensitivity is, it doesn't mean that you're going to be like able to spin around more and land some more shots. That generally speaking means you're gonna miss more shots and be way less accurate. The pro players don't play at high sensitivity, and they're the best in the world. So I kind of take a little bit from that, and I have this as my setting. Moving on down here to your simplified controls preset. This is if you really have trouble just kind of doing stuff in game, managing all the sort of settings. You can switch this on; it'll be perfectly fine if you want to do that. But for me, I don't have any issues with that, so I leave that turned off. And of course, the low motor strain preset. This is once again for people that have a bit of an issue right there. So you can just leave that off if you're just a normal, regular person, don't have any types of issues with managing all the buttons and stuff like that. Bumper ping, this is going to be on off. You don't really need that. You can have it on, I guess, if you really want to, but I personally don't. This right here, the swap, LB RB with LT RT or R1 R2 with L2 R2. I have this on so I can use my top triggers. I plan, like I said, tactical flipped, so this is going to be on for me. Recommend for you guys to go ahead and have that if you are feeling like maybe pressing in your bottom triggers is a little bit too time consuming, because when you push in the bottom, it has to go all the way in unless you have a trigger stop to really get that effect, unless you have your dead zones turned down, which of course we'll talk about here. But this is just a really good setting for me personally, and for a lot of people, I just say go ahead and swap it out. Now down here to controller vibration. This is not something you have to really be concerned with. Controller vibration can be on or off, whatever feels natural to you. It's not going to screw with your aim. I mean, unless you have a crazy, ridiculous rumble pack, it's really not going to screw with you. So just go ahead and leave that on. Now, hopping down in here to the dead zones, this gets to be a little bit more personal preference, and I'll show you guys kind of why. I'll explain why. So my dead zones, I can actually just go ahead and test this real quick. If I turn this on, you can see that I have ever so slight stick drift on both of my sticks, but it's really nothing I have to worry about. So I can just basically have it as low as possible. With that being said, I have mine set at a total 0 on my left and right stick. I've been playing at a 0 for a while now. The goal of this is that you should have your dead zones as low as possible for it feeling comfortable. When you raise your dead zones, that is literally like you're increasing the amount of time it takes for your thumb to move the actual stick and for something to happen in game. And with Call of Duty being a reactionary FPS, you want to make sure that that is as low as possible. It sometimes takes a bit of getting used to. So I used to play like a 10 dead zone, moved it down to a 7, moved it down to a 5, a 3, and I just went down to like a 0. So I did some incremental decreases right there, which definitely did help me out. But I did notice my game feeling way more responsive when the lower I got. So I'd recommend for you guys to go ahead and do that. Your left stick max can be at like a 60. A lot of pro players end up doing this, and so I mean, I just kind of happen to have that right there. There's not really a rhyme or reason why. You could leave it at 99 or 60. It's not going to make a huge difference. Then I have my right stick max just set at 99 because that's perfectly fine. Now down here, so my left and right triggers, these are at a 13. I could probably put this at like a 20 or something. I have on my SCUF and Vision controller, because everything is basically mouse click on it. The bottom triggers for me, if I left them at a 0, sometimes it would randomly just throw items that maybe randomly stim shot, randomly throw a grenade, So I leave it at about like a 13 to a 20, somewhere in there, and that basically makes it so they're not super touchy. But I mean, as soon as I press it in, it's like that dead zone's basically not there. So that's why I have that, but yours should realistically be down somewhere closer to a 0 if you have a normal controller. Now we can get into the aiming category. So we're gonna go into our sensitivity multiplier here first, and we can see that basically we have third person, ground vehicles, air vehicles, tablet, and your ADS sensitivity multiplier and your ADS sense multiplier focus is what we have to really kind of focus in on. But basically this right here, so on previous Call of Duties like Warzone, Modern Warfare 3, the ADS sensitivity multiplier, I actually turned this down from 1.0 to a 0.8, and it made my aim feel a little bit more sticky. So I've been really enjoying that, honestly. Like, you can leave it at a 1.0, you can turn it down, see what really works best for you. But I've turned this down to 0.8 and also this down to a 0.8, and my aim has been feeling super crisp. So I've just been kind of messing with it. These are settings that it's kind of hard almost to understand exactly what it does because it doesn't give you a good description. So try and mess with it like from a 1 and move it down, see if it works better for you that way. Or you can leave it at a 1.0 if you feel comfortable with that. But overall, you should definitely at least try to mess with them a little bit. It does make a difference in how your game feels and how good your shot's going to be. Now let's move on down here to look inversion. Of course, this is on standard. Aiming advanced settings right here. There's not really going to be a ton of stuff you have to really, mess with. My custom sensitivity presume is off. I don't really ever mess with that, but the thing that is in here that you should mess with is your aim response curve type, and this is going to be on dynamic. As far as we know, dynamic is still the best way to have your aim response curve, not standard or linear. This is still from, Modern Warfare 3, Warzone, stuff like that. This is kind of carrying over. This is still the best one to use. So I'd recommend for you guys to go for dynamic if you are going to be messing with that. Once again, this is underneath the aiming advanced settings. That is just right here under aim. You just got to click that little pop up right there. But of course, target aim assist is going to be on. Your motion sensor behavior is going to be off, and we don't need to mess with the motion sensor advanced settings because none of us are using a controller or something like that that's going to be motion sensor based. We don't really care about that. Now into the movement category, we're going to have our sprint assist. This is going to be on tactical sprint assist. This is really what like your automatic tac sprint is going to be this. So I just recommend for you guys to have it. There's a couple options. You have it off, on, or tactical sprint assist. I just have that right there because I'm trying to sprint or get around as fluidly as possible. So tactical sprint assist does make a difference, and I recommend for you guys to have that on there. Your sprint assist delay should be at a 0. We don't need to set a delay on our sprinting at all. We want to be able to get away from people as fast as possible. If that's the case, bob and weave, do our thing. So we have that at a 0, and of course this is going to be on, and then on, and that's going to be on as well. So you can basically sprint sideways, backwards, etc. Your mantle assist can be off or on, and same with your crouch assist. This is kind of one of those settings where it's like your crouch assist, if you walk up to something and you want to go underneath in like certain areas of the map, it will actually do that for you. Well, I personally don't feel like I need that. I'll just go ahead and click in on my right stick, considering that is my crouch button. So I don't have an issue with that, but if you feel like you just want to have that on there, it's not going to be, something that's going to be detrimental to your gameplay. Just say you can have it on if you want to. I don't personally need that. Corner slice, I just turned this off. It says it simulates a corner slice by slightly inclining your weapon and camera to a corner when a corner is nearby. I don't need any of that shenanigans happening. I want to keep my camera as grounded and non-shaking or moving around as possible. I don't need my gun doing this weird, crazy stuff. I'm just trying to keep it very normal, so I have that off. I think that might be a bit of a gimmicky thing that you can have in your gameplay if you really want to, but I don't really like it. On your movement behaviors, this should be on, if you're trying to slide cancel at all, this should be on tap to slide. In this setting right down here, slide/dive activation delay, I have this on medium, but I may start changing this to short. I haven't personally messed with this a whole lot, considering everything's felt pretty solid so far, but I might change this to short. Kind of mess with it a little bit. I'm not 100% on this specific setting, but the tap to slide is what you want to have if you are going to be slide canceling, which everyone really realistically should be trying to do if you're trying to improve yourself as a player. It does make sense. Now down for this stuff right here, automatic door peek, that's off. Don't need that. Automatic airborne mantle, this is on. That way I can kind of sometimes automatically mantle objects that are nearby. It can be useful. Sometimes it can get in the way. I've turned it off for Warzone, I've turned it on. It's kind of like up in the air whether I really like it or not. I just have it on, and I haven't noticed it being a detriment to me, so I've just left it on. Sprint restore, you want to keep this on. It allows you to resume your sprinting after various actions without being required to press the LS button again or your left stick. I think that's a good option right there. You should definitely have that. Slide maintain sprint, that is really good too. That helps you just maintain that fluidity and moving around the map. And of course, parachute, automatic behavior. We're not really ever parachuting in this thing. You just want to keep it on free fall. Mantle cancels reload. That's a good one to have. You don't need to be reloading while you're mantling. That could be pretty problematic. And of course, then here's your movement advanced settings here. So we'll go over this real quick. Automatic move forward or your auto move forward should be off. We don't need that. And then your sprint tactical behavior should just be on toggle instead of hold. And of course, your tactical sprint activation should be on single tap sprint, not double tap or anything else. That's just extra button clicks you have to use. And honestly, that basically just wears your controller out faster and helps you get more stick drift because you're constantly mashing in that button. We don't really need any of that. And of course, plunging on a water trigger, sprinting door bash, you can just keep that on. It allows you to just bowl through doors pretty simply. Now for the last tab of the controller settings, we have the combat tab here. So I'll go over this here pretty quickly since there's not a lot of crazy stuff in here. But your aim down sight behavior can be on hold. We don't need that to be on toggle. We don't need to press in, press out. That's just going to slow your game down, and we don't need to get caught holding our ADS. That doesn't make sense ever. Don't really know why that's much of a setting. Your weapon mount activation can just be on ADS plus melee. You're not going to be mounting a whole lot. Armor plate behavior should just, I'm assuming this is just going to be for Warzone or for HVT when you're the value target, high value target. You should just be on apply all, so that way you can apply all of your plates at once. And then, of course, your C4 detonation can be all at once. Equipment behavior is hold. Manual fire behavior is just going to be on press. That means that when you choose to press the fire button each time to shoot around, it is not just going to continually do it. You should just be on your manual press. And here's your combat advanced settings, which is something we can go over quickly as well. So change D-pad behavior is going to be on ping. Change zoom activation, that's going to be on sprint tactical focus. That's just pressing it on your stick. Very simple. I just recommend to keep that the same. Short delay. Interact / reload behavior, this is going to be on tap to reload. We don't need any of these settings. Basically prioritize interact until we start playing Warzone, BO6 Warzone. So just keep it on tap to reload. Not beneficial to play on prioritize interact. Just doesn't make sense. Sprint cancels reload, keep that off, or you can keep that on. Just that's personal preference right there. And then body shield / finishing move. This can be on literally whatever you want. I've actually been body shielded once when I was playing the mosh pit mode. I literally spawned in front of somebody and they grabbed me as a body shield. So you can keep this on body shield or finishing move. Up to you, doesn't really matter. Now we're gonna hop into the graphics tab. This is gonna be for everybody. Of course, I am playing on PC, so I'm not gonna go over all my display settings, quality settings, because that's not really gonna matter to a lot of you guys out there, since majority of people are gonna be on console. And it's largely due to what components you got in your computer, what you should be running. But as a general rule of thumb for display settings and quality, it should be relatively low to normal, not extreme. That gets you more frames. So let's get in here. Your field of view, I recommend everybody to play at 120 if they feel comfortable with it. There is a misconception that goes around where people think that when you play at 120 field of view, that for whatever reason you start losing aim assist. That's not a thing. That is a fallacy. That is just completely false. It is not a thing. You don't lose aim assist at all. If I was losing aim assist, I wouldn't be playing at 120 field of view, and I've been playing at 120 or max for years. So this does not affect your aim assist. What is going to affect your gameplay though here, apart from that, is your ADS field of view. This should be on affected, not independent. So if we're playing at 120 field of view, we're playing on independent, that means we're going to zoom back in to that 90 FOV as soon as we ADS. Like we're going to be zooming into 90, back out to 120. That's like almost like motion sickness. Like we don't need that. It just looks really weird. So we don't want that. We want to keep it unaffected. Also kind of makes your guns look like they have a little bit less visual recoil, which can be pretty nice as a little added benefit. Up in field of view, this can just be on default. You can change this to, wide if you want your gun to look a bit smaller. I just have it set to normal, haven't had much issue with it, but I can just turn it to wide right there. Third person field of view can be on 90. And of course, your world motion blur, actually, I don't know why that randomly turned on again. I think it's just because I was messing with the setting, but world motion blur and weapon motion blur should be on off. And then going down here to your first person camera movement, I'll turn this down. This got reset as well. This should be on least. You want to have the least amount of camera movement possible in game. We don't need that. We don't need more motion shake going on that just makes your game harder to play, and it can probably get you killed a couple of times extra just because it's shaking around so much and the other guy's got virtually no camera shake or no motion blur going on. So that's basically going to be the settings you need to know for the graphics tab or the view tab in graphics. Now getting into the interface tab, we're going to go to the interface. We're going to go to the readability tab and scroll all the way down to color customization. This right here is going to make all the difference in the world on how your game looks. So we're going to click onto your HUD, color palette. This can be on default. You can leave everything as you want to, or you can change it A lot of people mess this, have a custom setup, whatever they feel comfortable with. But overall, what you should do is just basically use what you want and go down here. So what's really gonna make a difference is your color filter. So basically color filter 2 is what I found to be the absolute best. I'm playing this on this for MW3, for Warzone, and I tried it again here, and I was like, this is a really, really good color filter. So color filter 2, your color filter target should be on both. So your interface and your world, it's gonna make your interface, your camos, everything in the main menu look more, vibrant. And it's also going to make everything in game look more vibrant, less dull. We don't really need that. And so you can have almost like an NVIDIA filter like effect while being on console. I mean, I don't like NVIDIA filters anyways, just because they start messing with my FPS, and I don't need them. The game looks great as is when I have these on. So we're gonna have that. Of course, your world color intensity, you can bump this all the way up to 100 if you want to. It starts at 75. I found that might be a little bit too much if I bump it up to 100, but your interface color intensity should definitely be at 100. So test out and see what works for you, but this is really gonna make a difference in how your in-game looks. It's gonna look a lot more colorful, and people are gonna be easier to see. And lastly, I want to get into audio tab, but this is still gonna be very nuanced. It's kind of like the PC thing for like your graphics, because everyone's got different headphones. I have Astro A40s that's connected to a mix amp, which goes into my audio unit. So like that connects both of my PCs together, considering I have a gaming PC and I have a stream PC. So I have a dual PC setup. So it's a little bit different for everybody, but I'll at least show you guys kind of the general things you should be understanding. Master game volume, just leave it at what you want. Gameplay music volume, this is not really beneficial. It takes away from you being able to actually hear what's going on in game. So you can keep your dialogue, effects, and your cinematic stuff there, but basically just you want to turn down the gameplay music volume. That'll be very, very good. You won't get that crazy music towards the end of the game. It's like when you're trying to listen for people's footsteps and stuff like that, you're trying to sweat a little bit. Gameplay music can get in the way of that. So we have that. Obviously your speakers should just be whatever. I mean, for me, it's just my default system device. And of course, so we have enhanced headphone mode, which is cool. That's a bit of a newer addition. And this is interesting right here, the enhanced headphone mode configuration. This is something that's going to be a little bit crappy, because you can actually get enhanced audio and you can pay for better audio from this company that did something. So you click onto it. And for me, it's got a personalized QR code. So I'm not trying to have people start messing with that and get my free trial, but you can click onto it. You can get your free trial and you can see if it makes a difference to you. I haven't tried it out, but it's like $20. So first time for everything. They're charging for better audio. Who knows how good it is? My audio mix I'd recommend, though, if you're just gonna be playing with regular audio like myself, is the headphone bass boost. This allows you to hear some more of the bassy things a little bit better. And personally, I think it makes the game just sound better overall. So I have that on there. In mono audio, you don't want that on. That's just that dumb it down so you don't really get the left and right spatial awareness properly. So we need to be able to hear people that are coming from the left side, the right side, etc. And then that's going to be about that. You don't really have to mess with anything else in here. And that right there, folks, is all you need to know about your settings. If y'all enjoyed this video, be sure to do me a favor and give it a like. Subscribe, notifications turned on. Check out this other video on screen, and make sure you stay tuned for all the other Black Ops 6 content.